talking about fintech sharing information and telling all these stories together, there's an initiative from the government called Open Banking, right? We talked about it a few weeks ago. Then we saw an exclusive story on Tech About that talked about the fact that the CBN wants NIBBS to control open banking. Now, in its very concept, it starts to have us thinking, okay, what is the plan? And if it's supposed to be open banking, why do you want to have one central body control it? So we didn't jump on the story because we're not able to confirm from our own end. But I'm hearing that, okay, the CBN has backed out and all of that. But the question I have in my head is, for open banking to truly work, what kind of regulation needs to guide this? Because we are talking about fintech sharing data with themselves, right? Ezigi mentioned something in the last podcast. Like, it's not so simple to just ask fintechs
to share.
To just be sharing data. They might call themselves collaborators on Twitter.
They are still business
But they are still business people. They are still competitors, right? Do you need to have central bodies or companies whose primary responsibility is to hold this data? So the lending sector has credit bureaus, right? The banks don't report to themselves, they report to the credit bureaus. Now, do we need to have that for all the fintechs? And we heard of fintech CEOs coming together to build something like that, right? But in the context of open banking, because open banking is a lot more open than just fintech sharing data, right? We're going to be involving retail chains. We're going to be involving property management companies, logistics, right? So what is leading me to ask questions? What are the things that we need to actually put in place for? Maybe I should be asking the question, but let us ask it down first.
Okay, so if you want to get an answer to that question, visit techment.africa on Tuesday. You get an answer to your question.
Okay, on Tuesday?
Yes, next week Tuesday, you get an answer to that question.
Okay, so you're not answering it now?
No, I'm not.
You're not answering it now. Okay, so we should just move on.
We can't give everything out. So
we should just move on.
My thought is why I understand the way the Nigerian system works sometimes, where you have to subsume something under another thing to make it look like, okay, we own this. So, but I'm thinking, what could be the implication of NIBBS taking over
open banking?
Because they all have to do with data a lot, and NIBBS, let's say, it has been like it's one of the things that have supported the workings of fintech in Nigeria. You get, when it comes to transactions and like moving money from one bank to another with Snap, you get. NIBBS has been very resourceful for that. In it has been a framework that works. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So bringing open banking to NIBBS, is there like a negative connotation to it, or?
It's kind of more like, so NIBBS is kind of like that. It sits in that gray area where you're not sure if it's a competitor or a regulator. That's what NIBBS is like.
Yeah, that could be why they're worried.
Skeptical about it. I get.
It sits in that gray area, right? NIBBS was like a coalition between the CBN itself and the banks.
It's like owned by a private company on its own. So now, I get.
So it kind of feels like a private company, but it kind of feels like, this is like the regulators, an extension of the CBN in the payment space, right? And don't get me wrong, they've done a fantastic job over the years, but which is why I'm asking, what is the right way to actually, because I understand that, okay, for you to have this open, there's a framework, which of course we'll be discussing on Tuesday next week. There's an open banking framework. So I'm sure in that framework, there are guidelines on how this open banking should be regulated and everything should be done properly. So,
So I still think the CBN should be in charge.
I mean, I think that's still the idea.
But NIBBS, if it was CBN, we know that, okay, it's regulator that is doing this. But NIBBS is...
I mean, even the CBN, they are gradually entering into that gray area. So it's no longer a case of, we are strictly regulating your industry. They are entering,
Becoming, as Esige said,
It's a, it's,
Like
it's, a
it's
pro-
a very
it's a problem.
very tough market. Like when a regulator is trying to act like a competitor,
It's
it
a
becomes
problem.
dicey because
And-
you're never on the
You don't
gaining
know.
end.
So it's one thing for me to have issues with a competitor. It's another thing now to have an issue with a competitor regulator. Like
And sure.
you don't know.
Can never win.
How do you win?
I mean, I imagine the scare NIBBS gave us in 2020 where they wanted to deduct 2% of the revenue of logistic companies. Thank God that policy did not see the light of day. The NIDA Act came, they wanted. And yeah, trust me, a lot of things are happening in that digital space that we're not talking about outside in terms of regulators actually starting to act like competitors. They want. They don't know. They no longer want to be the umpire. They want to actually be a player. Imagine you're a referee. He's also one of the players.
I can imagine.
No, the best way to capture this is wrestling, where you are doing a tag team match and the referee is one of the wrestlers.
Right? How?
So
If it's not at top, the one on top, nobody's going to count 3.
Well, maybe as you're on the ground, he joins the person that is pinning you down to pin you down, and then choosing the other hand.
Yeah, that's funny.
but yeah, it's a nice one, right? And a lot of things could happen. You could see people start rebelling against the government. You could see the government, people in the government start revealing things, just like 2 times.